Everybody who knows me knows this is like a pet peeve of mine when someone says, "Oh, you're so lucky you were born so talented." Because I don't feel like I was born talented at all. I don't even think I'm a great artist. But I do think that I have a good eye for looking at things and saying, that doesn't look right. That's the main reason that I can paint anything, because even if my hand is not that skilled at drawing the line or making the figure, I can look at it and say it's not right. It's too big, it's too short, it's too wide, and I can correct it, or at least I try to. And sure, I wish I was one of those artists that could just start anywhere on the painting and just draw this incredibly beautiful, perfect painting the very first time. But I'm not. And 99% of the people are not. So if you're not talented at painting, that doesn't mean you can't paint or that you can't learn how to paint, because painting is just like mathematics, it's just like science, it's just like cooking, it's like anything you learn in life. There's rules to it. And if you abide by the rules, you'll make a pretty good painting. When will you make a good painting? When you begin to notice where your mistakes are. It is kind of the thing to me that differentiates a good artist from one that is never going to be a good artist, because that person has stopped trying to improve. They look at their painting, they do it quickly, they say, oh, that's it, it's done, it's a tree and it's some water. And that's fine. That gave that person some creativity, gave them a chance to enjoy themselves and use the right side of their brain and get out and get some fresh sunshine that day, or sit down and forget about their bills and just do something that made them happy. That's fine. But if they want to progress to the next stage, they have to be able to look at the painting and go, you know, I used like straight yellow and straight green, and maybe I should have some blending going on here, or maybe this guy really wasn't quite that color. Let me see if I can figure out a way to make it look more like it really looked. Or these people aren't exactly proportional. Wonder why? Let me look. It looks to me like maybe I drew all those heads too round and too big. I'll figure out a way to do it better. Maybe I'll look at some tutorials, or maybe I'll just practice heads all day long until I can get it to look like this other picture that I'm looking at over here that looks perfect. So that's a big thing right there. Use some other pieces of art, someone else's work, a book, whatever you have to, and find what you consider the ideal figure or the ideal flower, so that you can try to replicate that. And then after you have learned how to copy, then you begin to learn how to do it on your own. Or take a flower and put it in front of you and look at it and say, why doesn't mine look like this one? Maybe it's because I've painted the whole thing one shade and it needs some lights and darks. Maybe I painted mine really, really all cool tones, and where the sun is hitting it, there's warm tones. That makes a big difference. I didn't take a dark side and a light side. I didn't put a shadow under it like it has in real life. If you have to, take a photo of your flower and look at that photo. Sometimes that helps. Put it on your phone and stare at it and say, now that I'm looking at it in this actual closed off forum, this little box called my telephone, which now looks like it's kind of framed, I see I don't have my proportions the same as this. And I don't have a light and a dark side like this has. And I forgot to put the shadow underneath it. That will make all the difference in the world. So that's how you learn how to get better. You can watch all the tutorials in the world, but until you start actually doing it, and instead of getting frustrated and saying, oh God, mine is not good enough, I'll never be good enough, I have no talent, look at it and figure out why. Even if it's just one thing on that you figured out today. Oh my gosh, you know what? Everything has a shadow and I didn't realize that. Let me start putting a shadow down. Later you'll start figuring out a way to make those shadows darker in the middle and a little lighter as the light dissipates on the sides. And then you might start learning that the shadow has a color too. All these things will come to you eventually, but in the beginning, just make a shadow and you will be so surprised how it seats down whatever it is that you painted and makes it look like it's not floating in the air. So these are just little tricks, and you'll get these tricks when you watch tutorials, but sometimes you're overwhelmed when you watch a whole painting. You can't even imagine where to begin. So just start with something small. And that is my hint for the day. Start small and look for your mistakes. Let's do a painting. So I'm trying to show you this picture on my iPad without too much glare. It's a photo I took in St. Augustine, walking down one of the side streets. So many scenic things there, very photogenic things. But what have I done to this to make the painting work out for me? I thought it was so interesting when I took the photo and I wanted to paint it. There's so many things I love about it. A beautiful bougainvillea tree, and over here was this really orange rooftop, and over here was another really pretty different shade of orange balcony. But the main thing I wanted you to see in this painting was how the light was coming across here and shining on this little building. So what did I do to make you not look at this rooftop was I dulled it down a little, and I dulled this down a little. And I cut out a few of the dappled lights that were up in the front here, because I want you to walk down this road to this light here and look at this. I dulled down this little bit of the bougainvillea so that the one that's hanging over the building is brighter. I will dull that down a little bit there and leave this bright here so that this is my focal point and you have no choice but to look there. I hope. And I think I'll do this in oils, and I'll do it very simply because there's lots of detail in here and I don't want it. So wish me luck. So you can take a little screenshot of this if you like. Basically what I did to start this painting. And it's just very basic things. Here's a version of that photograph with very low light, just in case you happen to have the sun behind you and you need to tone it down. Here's another version where you can make it very bright, which will help you see the leaves in the darkened areas on the trees. So you can fool with your photo editing equipment to help you. Here you can make the colors very vibrant, and it gives you ideas of what you would like to do with the painting, or take all the color out altogether and just have light and dark in a gray wash, a monochrome picture. And that really helps you know where the lights and the darks go. So anyway, here we are now with my altered photo, and we'll get started and see what we can do. It's actually easier to see this in a dark room. That's why I don't have the lights turned up. What you're looking at here is the building and the balcony, the white building in the back, this little building here. There's a building here with trees, and then of course the street going back. So here we have the street going back. There's some bushes over here. There's a bush over here that comes all the way around here. Then the bougainvillea bush is going this way. Here's the little white building. Here's the balcony. Kind of hard to see, but it's just, that's all I'm going to sketch in there, just so that I get the perspective right. Because you cannot believe, when you're trying to do this street, you look at that and you start trying to put the street like this. And then you realize, wait a minute, no. This little house is way down here. Way down here. In fact, I think I still have it a little too far back. Move it maybe a little bit more. And then, even though it looks like it's way down that road, that's perspective, but it's really very far down the canvas. So yes, it has to be way down, even a little bit more than what I have it. So we'll start blocking it using just a little bit of this walnut oil, or safflower oil here. And it's made by Gamblin. Mixing it with just a tiny bit of my burnt sienna. And then I have my little SketchUp here, which is basically going to be darker on this side of the building right here, and this little strip here is light because that's where the sun is hitting. And it's hitting across here, and it's hitting here. There's a little bit of light in the background where there's this green tree back here. And some of this building right here on the roof is getting hit, but I don't want it to be too light. Like I said, there's a little light here and there, a little bit is over here, but basically that's the block in, or the sketch in, I should say. I'm going to block it in now with paint. Okay guys, I've got that basically blocked in. As I said, I'm not going to put a ton of detail. And we're going to let this dry a little bit, tack up I would probably say. It's not going to be dry, but it'll be a little tacky, and we'll come back in the morning and work on it a little bit more. But that's the basic block in. So I'll try to hang on to a little bit of this paint for the morning. So I've put a little string in here. Just cut off some twine and drip a little clove oil down in that crack there. Just this regular twine. And we'll see if that will keep from drying out too much in the morning. I could put it in the freezer here, but it's pretty full. So I think what I'm going to do when I look at my photos, I compare them all. I think this is my painting, this is the real photo. I need to make my street come a little bit more this way, pushing this over to the left a little bit more. And this possibly needs to be a little straighter, because the way I set this up, I want this over here. It's not bad, but it's just off a little. So I'm going to open that up a little and push that over a little bit more. How will I do that? Well, I want you to come this way. A little more this way. Drop that down just a tiny bit more. And I think I'm going to bring this house down just a tiny bit more as well. Bring that up a little bit. See if I can. Move the street up just a tad bit. I think that's helping already. And another thing I think I need to do is bring this down a little bit more. And even protruding out a little bit more. Just to give that feeling. That's better. Because I want the little house to kind of be, it's not really a house, but I don't care what it is. I want it back here, kind of hidden a little bit more. I'm going to bring this down a tiny bit. Let's see. Yeah, bring it forward a little more and bring this lighter bit forward a little more. So I'll work on that a little. Okay guys, I'm done. I'm not going to put a ton of detail in this. My point I'm trying to make is look right here. My biggest area of contrast, some of my darkest darks against my lightest light. It doesn't matter whether you know for sure this is a palm tree or for sure that's a roof. For sure that's a bougainvillea, you know it's some kind of a plant. Just the concept of this shady little lane that you walk down in St. Augustine, and the
lighted building at the end, inviting you to come walk back here into the sunshine, which is exactly what I did. Hope you all enjoyed this painting. Come back and paint with me again next time. And remember, you can paint too. It's really not that hard.